The Fallen Angel, a Black Dagger Brotherhood fanfiction. Chapter 1. Remy closed her eyes as she looked up at the sun and revelled in the stream of sunlight she was sitting in before getting back to scrubbing the blood out of the black shirt in her hands. Fritz, I understand why they wear black, but for the love of God, it's hard to see if I got all the blood out. Remy called out, holding the shirt up to the sunlight and squinting at it. Oh, yes, milady, it does make it hard, but I don't mind the extra work, Fritz cheerfully replied. Remy smiled up at Fritz. You're an exceptional doggon, she continued on a gasp, dropping the shirt unceremoniously back into the bucket and holding her lower belly. Milady, are you all right? Fritz looked over at the sound concerned. Yeah, I will be, Remy answered, straightening her back. Fritz nodded and suggested, Why don't you take the dry laundry into the brothers and rest in your room? Yes, thank you, Fritz. That sounds like a wonderful idea, Remy replied, picking up the basket of dry washing and dematerializing into the house. Once Remy had dropped each load of clean washing outside the respective owners' doors, she headed to her own room, locked the door, and snapped at herself in the bathroom mirror. Your kneading had to come on now, didn't it? Let's hope I can get a couple of days out of being here before I must choose. Thank you for finally lifting the curse the Creator gave me, sister. Remy finished looking at the roof, not knowing if the scribe virgin heard her at all. Rage opened his door a few hours later and picked up his clean washing from the hallway and noted the new scent that was lingering on his shirts. Fritz! Rage called for the doggo. Yes, sir? Fritz replied a moment later. Why do my clothes suddenly smell different? Something like sunshine? Rage finished, noticing that even before he completed his question, the doggo looked nervous. It was at this point more doors opened into the hallway, and they all murmured something similar. All right, I will tell you, Fritz replied, motioning for the Brotherhood to follow him into the sitting room. Once all the brothers, including Wrath and Beth, had settled, Rage asked his question again. I have a friend staying, and they wish to be of use while they are here, so I tasked her with scrubbing the blood out of your clothes from last night, Fritz explained. Her? Rage queried, plucking the pronoun slip-up out of Fritz's answer. But it also smells familiar, Zadist added from his side of the room. It was at Z's comment that Wrath took a deep breath and stormed for the stairs, following his nose and heading straight for Remy's door. Wrath, you're going to frighten the poor girl and scare her to death, Beth reasoned, as Fritz begged, Master, please let me. Remy is more powerful than you realize. Well, at least we have a name, Wrath grumbled and stepped aside. As Fritz knocked, he announced, Remy, milady, the brothers, King and Queen, would like to formally meet you. In reply, they heard some mumbling about, again? Christ, at least this time it will stick. This is the awkward bit. All the fucking questions again. Before, yeah, I'm coming. Want to do this in the sitting room and not the hallway where they're all going to tower over me? Remy replied. Rage felt a tug that made him want to wrench open the door and leave it hanging from his hinges. My brothers, let's head back downstairs, Vicious stated, and they turned as a group and headed towards the sitting room. Is it me or is the smell of sunshine getting stronger? Zadis muttered, rubbing his nose, as he pushed open the sitting room door and stopped in his tracks. Fury came up behind his twin and gave him a shove to move him into the room, which made Zadis stumble a few steps and stood still as if he was caught in the headlights of a car, while Fury blew out a hard breath. Torment looked confused. Wrath simply held onto Beth's hand tighter, and Rage whistled softly when all they could see was the back of a 5-foot 1-inch female with white blonde hair falling to her waist, dark blue jeans, and black and white Vans sneakers with the addictive smell of sunshine emanating from her. As she turned around, fixing each of the brothers with blue eyes that matched the summer sky, Fritz announced, This is my old friend, Remy. Since when do you have a friend? Wrath growled at Fritz, who shrank back away from the vampire king. Back up, Wrath! Remy moved towards the towering male, whose gaze whipped towards Remy, as he had only been spoken to like that by his Shellan. Who are you to speak to me that way? Wrath demanded. Tor moved to get in between the female and Wrath, but took his own step back when Remy glared at him. Someone who is centuries older than you and observed your arrival in the world. Remy snapped back, her eyes travelling down Wrath's body and back up to his wraparound covered eyes. What? Wrath muttered finally, taking a step back. Hi, Remy, I'm Beth. Ever the cheery one, Remy turned and brightly smiled at the other female. It's so nice to meet you, Beth. I'm glad that Wrath found you, even though he is being an ass at the moment. As you know, my name is Remy, but if you would all like to take a seat and get comfy, I'll introduce myself properly and reintroduce myself to the brothers. Remy embraced Beth and glared at Wrath, who growled at her for grabbing his Shellan. Remy unwrapped her arms from around Beth and did not let her glare leave Wrath's face. Sit down, Remy commanded to Wrath. Make me, Wrath challenged, standing over the petite female. Remy held out her right hand, and an ancient-looking bow and arrow appeared in her palm. I can either make you, Remy said, knocking the arrow into the bow and taking aim at Wrath's chest, or I can call my sister, the scribe virgin. Which will it be, blind king? And keep in mind that I never miss. Remy finished drawing the bowstring back to her lips. Chapter 2. All the brothers stood up, partially drawing a dagger each, while Beth hissed at Remy. I may look human, but I can guarantee that I can wipe out the Brotherhood before any of you think of using those daggers. So how about you all sit down and listen to who I am? Remy stated, not taking her eyes off Wrath, and made her bow and arrow disappear as fast as she made them appear. Once all the brothers sat down, most of them looked quite confused, but Z simply looked bored. Sorry, Beth, but sometimes these warriors need a smack on the head to get them to see sense. Remy apologized as Beth laughed. So, you sure you watched Wrath being born? Beth questioned, looking the other female up and down. You don't look much older than I do, Beth finished. I am that old. I'm older than Fritz. I saw my sister create the first vampires. I've walked alongside humans for centuries before I crossed the line and was cast out and became fallen, Remy replied. Hang on. So you are a fallen angel? Rage asked, pointing a finger at the female. Yes, I am, Remy replied. Did you watch us all being born? Zadis asked softly, staring at a choice piece of the rug. Remy walked up to Z and raised his chin with her forefinger so she could look him in the eyes. Yes, Sadist. I saw you and all your brothers being born. I can see the question in your eyes. Part of my fallen punishment is that I am unable to influence other people's decision or paths chosen. I tried to get Fury to you sooner, but some of my clues were a little obscure. I hope you can forgive me, Sadist, Remy stated, holding Zadist's face in her hands. Z simply nodded in reply. Since no one is willing to ask the question that I want answered, I'll ask it, Wrath stated as Remy turned to face him and waited. Well, Wrath glared at Remy. I am not my sister. You can ask me an outright question, and I will not be offended. You, my lord, have not asked me anything yet, Remy responded. You really are related to the scribe virgin, Wrath trailed off, shaking his head. Who are you? Really? I could smell that you are not human. You are not vampire. Certainly not a lesser. But the smell of sunshine is changing to something else, which is also familiar to me, Wrath stated. My name is Artemis. In ancient Greece, I was known as the goddess of the hunt, the moon, and a few other things. Since the beginning of time, I have walked alongside humans, gently guiding them to their best decisions. I saw the pyramids being built, the advancement and retreat of the Roman Empire, Alexander the Great conquering the world. I cried as I watched the Library of Alexandria burnt to the ground and again when I was unable to save any of the Pompeian citizens to escape the hell of that damn volcano. Remy hyperventilated as the group remained silent, watching Remy make good work of wearing a line in the Persian rug at her feet. So you're telling me you're a fallen angel, your name is Artemis, and have been known throughout history as the Virgin Huntress? You really are the scribe virgin sister. Rage boomed, ticking the points off his fingers and highlighting the one fact that Remy left out on purpose. Remy turned to look at Rage full in the eyes and paused for a moment before replying. You had to latch on to the one fact I left out on purpose, didn't you, Rage? Remy replied with unshed tears in her eyes. Remy did not look away from Rage as one tear inadvertently slid down her cheek. Owls are not only sacred to my sister, but to me as well, Remy added, trying to hurt Rage a little, as he had just done to her. Strangely enough, it was Z who launched himself from across the room and held Rage by the throat against the wall. How dare you make her cry? Zadis hissed at his brother. Remy put her hand on the arm Zadis held to Rage's windpipe. Z, let him go. I am all right. Besides, you don't want to awaken Drakon, Remy softly said to Zadis, who after a beat let his brother go. Rage coughed and stood up. What did you call it? Was the only thing he could ask. Do you mean your beast? Remy countered as Rage nodded. I have flown with your beast, and I could not call him that, so I gave him the name Drakon. It simply means dragon in Greek, Remy replied on a shrug. You have wings? Like real angel wings? Vicious asked. Remy smiled at him. Yes, they are white at the top and fade into an icy blue at the bottom. I have not flown in many centuries. When I fell, some of my flight feathers were pulled out in accordance with my punishment. And like a vampire pregnancy, my feathers take a long time to heal and grow back. Flying with Drakon in about 1888 was the first time I flew in ages with them. But they have been brought out on various occasions, Remy answered, glancing at Z, who looked at Remy in awe. During all this torment was one of two that had not said or asked any question. Remy turned to the warrior. Tor, you look like you're trying to work out an unusually hard mathematical equation. You have a question or a query, please ask, Remy reasoned. If I may speak for my brothers, we all have a vague memory of the smell of sunlight, or something else, but no real memory of you. Why is that? Tor posed to Remy. Ah, that is another part of my punishment. Any male that I am intimate with will not remember me in the morning or next night. And this is for any male that I am with, human, Brotherhood, or civilian. So I usually leave before they wake. And of course, all that is left is the smell of sunshine, as that is what I smell like at the beginning of the night. From what I have experienced recently, my sister has decided or been able to take that part of my punishment of the way now. Remy replied. But what is the other smell? It is getting stronger even now, Tor continued. Petrichor. It is the smell of dust or earth just before the rain starts, Remy answered, glancing at Rage out of the corner of her eye, who had just taken a lungful of her new scent. Do we smell differently to you? Fury asked, wanting to know what he would smell like to an angel, fallen or otherwise. Remy smiled and closed her eyes. Yes, you do. Fury, you smell like my sister's grotto, classic brickwork in the sun. Fury smiled brightly in return. Darius smelled like money, luxury, and leather. Remy smiled warmly at Beth. Tomet smells clean, with an undertone of hot food. At this moment, it's like hot dogs at a baseball game. Very American. Dor's eyebrows nearly hit his hairline. Vicious smells like thick, dark, hot chocolate. Decadent. Remy's eyes fluttered closed, remembering one of her most favorite smells, and licked her lips as V blushed furiously. Zadis has an iron, blood, metallic-like smell, with clean, earthly undertone that you find in a damp forest, Remy stated. Wrath is fire and ice, smoky yet cold. Remy waved at Wrath without looking directly at him. Remy sighed and kept it short. Finally, Rage. You smell like sex and sulphur. Rage looked at Remy and could not find it in his heart to come up with a witty comeback.